What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another structured pod. You have your boy Nick Shackelford and your girl Rebecca, and we are here to talk about all things paid media, both from an agency standpoint and from a brand standpoint. Which, honestly, the more and more I think about it, it's kind of really cool perspectives of having like an insight of like how a brand should be running things and how an agency should be supporting the brand or recommending how a brand should be running things. And this week is kind of a doozy. Rebecca and I were going back and forth before, and she's a lot deeper in this stuff than I am, which is like really exciting because a lot of this is going to be very inquisitive. But 2025 was a big year for brands. And I kind of, before I put you into like a projection of what 2026 could potentially lead from, I kind of wanted to like put you on the spot and see like how was 2025 in a like more of a reflective state for how e-commerce went. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that 2025, at least from my perspective, which I've also heard from other people, that it's been a tough year. It's been a struggle to get performance. It's been tough overall to kind of have a competitive edge against everyone else in the market. So definitely excited to move out of 2025. Still finding wins, but really not like the big wins that we all used to back in the day when you could scale someone 10x in like a month. Those were like, I think, like the prime days of media buying and performance marketing. But that's kind of where I'm at. I feel like I'm really ready for something new. I think there's a lot of like really exciting things happening soon. But yeah, I guess from your standpoint, what are you thinking? Like, how do you feel like 2025 went?
It's funny because I was like hoping you'd have a better reply than mine, so that mine wouldn't be so like sad woo woo. But I think it's that's just the nature of the market. We
Yeah.
so we had obviously a couple events recently in September and just another one in October, and I felt sitting there having conversations with people. It was like a collective sigh. They're all just like, okay, so you guys were sucking too, or oh, okay, so you guys were having trouble, not just me, and because it's kind of like misery loves company situation where people are going like, wait, so like that was hard for you too. But I took some pretty clear notes on why, because arguably it's been hard for us internally on the brand side, and even just from some really my close friends that I consider pretty good operators that understand the game, not from a traffic standpoint or from a offer standpoint, but just from a general like how to run business standpoint. And man, some of the themes was like, why were the things that we used to do or go to not working to any sort of degree that they used to in the past? Meaning you could run a flash sale or you could run some sort of like buy now get something from an email standpoint and be able to like kind of print almost like a slot machine on demand. Like you were going to make money, it was just like how much. I
Yeah.
didn't really get to see that as much this year. The
No.
same thing is like you could launch a higher budget remarketing campaign and kind of like bully your way through the ad auction meta specifically,
Hmm.
and it just didn't work like it used to. And so
Yeah.
it's I don't even know if I had like a big alpha. I would probably say this year was there was two themes that kept coming up, and I'm sure you were having these conversations. Andromeda,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
then focus on the offer. Do you have any sort of like war stories or conversations you were having around Andromeda or offer formulation?
Yeah, I mean, that has been the focus. I mean, the Andromeda piece is kind of just a black box, as we all know. It's been the biggest issue is that we just don't know. When I talk with people at Meta, there's also a kind of internal dialogue that they're not really being told exactly what's going on and when things are
Oh,
being pushed. And how can you really function as an agency, as a business, in any capacity when stuff is happening to you, but you don't really know what's going on? So I think that's the big thing on that side. But on the offer side, that is really the only thing we've been able to find work. And it's not necessarily, as you're saying, like a flash sale necessarily. Those are actually, I found to be much
yeah,
harder to get success on. Sometimes the sale ads don't work. Sometimes only the sale ads work. It's very like account dependent, but just evergreen offers that are competitive and kind of like a you can't miss out on this offer sort of feeling. Those sorts of brands are winning the most and have the most sustainable success, and the ones that
yeah,
are investing heavily in creative. And that's not just on Meta, it's also on TikTok, and it's also on, honestly, Google. You have to put a lot of this, whatever's working within those platforms within Google. But yeah, those have been the hot things that we've done, that we've talked the most about. And I guess the other topic has been like, what is Google going to do next is
I
another thing
know.
that's been very hot. I don't know if you've had this conversation as well, where Google was like king for so long. And since they moved over to PMax, it's like very complicated performance. The incrementality is super unclear on that platform. It's hard to know kind of what's going on with Google. They haven't really released anything new in a while.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even consider PMax that new. It's kind of just like putting together lots of products that they already had and bundling it as a new thing. But yeah, that's kind of those are the main things that we've been talking about, hearing about a lot this year. Those are like really hot topics. But yeah, have you been talking about Google as well? I don't know if you have any
No,
thoughts
not
about
as
that.
much. I used to see a lot of Google guys and like filling out my feed or giving me
Hmm.
comments because I used to have some of these guys do really cool talks for me and they would do
Yeah.
incredible presentations and I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that was even possible on the platform. And I think there's just like less alpha. Like that's what they call it. Like there's just less new stuff going
Hmm.
on.
Yeah.
And there's also much less like screenshots and things around this area. So I don't know, it's been like I come from this from the subscription side of things is like I'm so grateful that we have an LTV element to our product. Like I am
Yeah.
just so thankful that we have some sort of stickiness for this because I think that's where I don't want to get into prediction mode just yet, but I think that's very important for if you I guess from like the agency standpoint, choosing the types of brands that you could win for and also building with a type of brand like for you and your brand.
Yeah.
How is this continuity, like where is the ongoing repeatability around this product, even if it's not subscription, but just the fact that will it run out, will they have to buy more of it? I just think more people need to play there,
I agree with you. I mean, that's really, if we look at the structured client
like
roster, I would
portfolio.
say 90 some percent of them have a subscription portion of their business that maybe was kind of abandoned in the past. It has become by far the most important thing that we're working on, mostly because sometimes the brands were like not super interested in pushing subscription. And we've really gotten fairly aggressive with making sure subscription is pushed. To your point, LTV is kind of the play here, and if we can't get LTV to work, then AOV is the play. Whatever we can do to get the AOV as high as possible, because it's so expensive to acquire customers that the only options you have are increase AOV if you're just going to get a one time purchase, or really focus on
LTV.
LTV through a subscription.
Well, this is we talked about it last time, like this concept of natural CAC. So we won't go too deep into this now,
Yeah.
but I think this is how most brands need to be thinking about. Most agencies need to be like advising your brands of how to buy media and how to grow because it is the more you can spend, the more you can earn. And
Yeah.
if you're able to buy into kind of like that LTV of the expected customer, Meta will just be like, cool, give us all your money, we'll give you all the customers we can find for you. So
Yeah.
okay, well, all in. Hell of a year. Like, I think it's easy. Like, okay, it was a grind across the board, but
Yeah.
I do have a little bit of like hopefulness and positive expectations because there's been so much movement, and I think I'll jump off of what you're talking about. Like, what is Google going to announce next? Because they kind of have to. Because up until this
Yeah.
point, Google, yeah, Meta is Meta, but like Google from a demand capture standpoint and it's kind of like a specific discovery statement
Yes.
was the kings and queens. But
Yep.
now I think, and you were kind of mentioned before, so I'm going to pass this to you. Like, I think you and I both know where this is going, but search by GPT, that's probably here.
I agree that search and the LLMs is where it's going to be. And honestly, I'm not sure how Google is going to respond to this. It could technically be within Google if they want to maybe acquire some of these companies or have their own offering for this, but I'm not really sure where Google sits in the search and shopping for LLMs in the future. I think that
Yeah.
that is the future, but is Google going to be there? I actually don't know. I'm not really sure if they're on that path at this point because of how quickly specifically OpenAI is moving with their product announcements, which are literally happening like every other day. Something fairly significant is going on. So
It's crazy.
I'm feeling very bullish on AI search and then eventually AI shopping, which AI shopping is technically not really out yet, but we can today buy ads within the search results within different LLMs. They're not the large ones, but the smaller ones. So we know eventually the large behemoths will come to the table and bring ad inventory to the table, which is where, to your point, I think that's where we're going to head in the next year. And like, right now we are launching ads for different smaller LLMs where you can get search placement. But I think that the big ones are going to be OpenAI launching shopping placements and OpenAI also launching search placements. I don't know if you have other things as well that you're thinking.
So there's like this thing that hit most of the social networks where they're pulling most of the, I guess, like rankability for the LLMs.
Yeah.
It gave like the list. It was like Reddit, and then it pulled in like YouTube and all these other ones underneath it.
Hmm.
And I talked to a couple of like pros in the space that are like they are kind of ex SEO guys, and like their entire world kind of got flipped upside down for the most part, knowing that they had to go into the AI search space. And they go like where they're pulling the LM, like that's kind of not truthful, because what Google did was they used to give you the search result where you can go like one, two, all the way to like 100 pages. They just cut off all the back end. So you only get like I think the first 10 or the first five searches. So they basically erased anything on the backlog, which all these LMs were needing to pull from the rankability they're searching from.
Yeah.
And so I think the way in which the LMs are going to be pulling and indexing content can be a little bit different, which means that you're not going to be able to rely upon the years and years and years you've been building the blog or how much content you're producing on an ongoing basis. I do think it's important. I do think from the conversations I'm having with some of these AI SEO pros that they don't take it, it's not fully taken out of consideration, but there's just new ways you have to be. And I do think it's going to be a natural pay to play inside the LLMs. But it's just like
Yeah.
it feels like so new. Like how is even this system working, and is it like a traditional ad platform that you're seeing?
Yeah, so it is like a traditional ad platform where just like in any other platform like Meta or TikTok or Google, you'd go and buy across placements. You're not really choosing the LLMs that you're currently serving on, but you're basically going in there and there's really no targeting at this point either, kind of like old school like ads for most of these platforms. So no
Okay.
real targeting. The only thing that is used for targeting is the copy that you're providing. So it's pretty much like product description. So like copy in general, you're going to hear this theme from me a lot. Like what words you're using and the phrases you're using are becoming more and more important. They're using that as your targeting essentially
Yeah.
within the AI platforms, and then obviously providing a landing page or product page link in the actual ad. And that's really it. I mean, it's really just using what your product is and trying to match people who are in market searching for your product. And you're not showing up. You can't like hack the system where you're like, oh, well, I'm going to try and show up for this like kind of more like mid funnel term. That's really not how it works. It's only really meant for people that are searching for products today that are in market for your product. So I think the volume is just low. We know the volume's low, which is where I think like it'll start there and then it'll probably expand
To the
into
bigger
this
ones.
more kind of maybe shopping forward, because right now it's just search ads for the most part, but I think it will
Yeah.
kind of expand into the shopping category. But then so that's just the paid side, but then what you were referencing earlier is also like that organic SEO side. I think that those two things are going to play hand in hand, because if you have strong AI SEO ranking, you're going to also just be served organically more often, and people are going to be searching for your get kind of become more aware of you in general. So there's kind of the two parts that have to be working at the same time. You don't want to like abandon the AI SEO best practices just to get ad placement, because there's I think both can work in this space and can do different things. Like getting more organic sales from Perplexity, like that's great. Who cares? Like it's not paid, but everyone wants free sales. So
Yeah, more and it's funny you brought this up because I was in this discussion. I was like, dude, give me like some practical takeaways that a brand could do, like right now, just start to rank you outside of media buying, because obviously media buying you're gonna pay for it. There's gonna be strategies around that,
yeah.
and a lot of the feedback that I got was like, you can't be wishy-washy. Like you have to say, we'll use Breeze as the example. THC and mushroom non-alcoholic beverage. Like that is a very straightforward phrase. That's what it is. That's what people are going to be searching for, those specific things. And so yes, this is more like the SEO standpoint, but even if on the ad buy, it is being so deliberate and specific because the words that people are typing in generally are going, hey, like, can you find me these things? And it's sort of like how I shop on Amazon. I go to Amazon when I know I need magnesium, I need protein for coffee, I need specific shit. And then all of a sudden, like that's how I start finding out that I'm communicating or voice texting into GPT.
For sure. I mean, natural language is really the key to success in this space moving forward, whether it's from an ads perspective or it's from an organic perspective. Because also just thinking about the benefits of Chat GPT, for example, it is using natural responses back to you. It's not using fancy marketing language to try and
No.
give you information. So we really all just need to follow suit. And there are some kind of general best practices that we can follow to make sure we don't fall behind, whether that's on the ad side or on the organic side, because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. But I think like thinking about 2026, I think like AI is such a buzzword, but if we're going to get really specific, I think it's going to be the expansion into LLM advertising and the increased importance in organic AI results. And we do currently have offerings for that, but obviously it's early stages. Things are continuing to shift like every week. So,
Yeah.
with the new browser that OpenAI has just released,
Yes.
um,
What is this? What is this?
yeah, it's just their competitor with like a Chrome browser. I mean, I've used it very lightly, and it's basically just an assistant that helps you browse the web and helps you find what you're trying to find. It's like kind of like Chrome on steroids, essentially. It's what you would
Interesting.
expect from OpenAI, just asking the chatbot a question, but it's really part of your whole search journey. So that's just the beginning. I don't see how there's not going to be advertising placements within that really soon because of there's a lot of money on the table, as we all know. And
Yeah.
with the kind of difficulty we've talked about with 2025 performance across businesses, there's a huge opportunity to up for grabs for these companies to offer this. And I know that initially they had said that, like OpenAI specifically said they wouldn't do ads, and they've kind of slowly backed that out. So I do think this is kind of setting us up for an interesting 2026 with a big cash grab on the table.
Well, because I see, as we saw the role of Sora, which
Uh-huh.
if you spent any time on that, like that is the definition of brain rot. Like it is just and okay, so Sora, if you aren't familiar with, it's kind of like their AI social network where you can see a trend and then you can kind of like prompt it and change it to your own way so that you see it from a swiping and feed like format. But then if you go left or right of it, you see iterations of it. And so one that's trending is like a cat at your door through a Ring doorbell where it is shooting guns or rockets or doing just destruction. And you have multiple people making things of this, and you go, "Oh my god, this sucks." And then you go, "Okay." Then my marketing brain goes, "I was like, interesting." So then all of a sudden the new browser goes live, and you go, "It's sure it's I'm sure it's because they want more reach, they want more users, they want more
Yeah.
natural language, they want more like people on it." And I go, "Okay, that's also interesting." And so you hear them on one side go, we don't want to put ads inside of the GPT itself.
Yeah.
But then you have Sora, which is essentially placements, and that's going to continue to get DAUs. And then you have the actual browser itself that's definitely going to get DAUs because they're going to be able to feed it into their own GPT. So if they can keep their LLM clean, but all of a sudden they start all putting in this like ecosystem of apps around it, one of these places are going to take ads and they're going to monetize that way. But what makes me feel like just nervous around the business model, I pay for the pro. A lot of people pay for like different levels. If you're an organization, you pay for different levels of this.
Yeah.
Am I going to pay for this and also get served ads? I feel kind of frustrated.
I mean, it's a good question. I don't know how they're going to handle it. I think that there are a lot of people on like the free version, so they're probably going to start there, would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, maybe they only limit it to like a certain quality level. That's, maybe that you get a lot of ads if you're on the free version, and you get like
Like
less.
Netflix or YouTube.
Kind of, yeah. Like that would be my only thought. I agree. It's a good question because as a consumer, when you're actually funding the platform, or maybe they'll just maybe they'll increase what you get so more people get on the free. Because there's the ad dollars that advertiser can provide you has would have has to
Yeah.
outpace what the consumer would give you on a monthly basis. So there's definitely a business opportunity for them to basically allow ads, but I agree. I don't know to what extent, or maybe it's you only get like maybe you get more video style ads or something that's a little bit more like ad
I
like
know.
in your feed, and you only get like natural shopping ads when you're like in market for something that you're looking for, because those can be really helpful. I don't know about you, but I don't like
I
looking
like
through
getting
the
served ads.
I know I do too, because I'm like, this is a lot of work. I don't want to
Yeah,
I don't want to
dude.
really search that hard. Let's just see what's available. So like I think that there are benefits to it, but I don't know how they're going to handle it with the different tiers. And like that's honestly like why Meta can do it, because they're like, you're not paying for any of this. You can do what we can do whatever we want.
Literally, so I think about this on multi level because we live in Orange County, which is pretty suburbia, and we live in a smaller town inside of Orange County called Villa Park. And there's just like a couple of local spots. There's more commercial buildings and stuff here. And when I start to travel, like the first thing that I do or my wife does, she usually is things to do in X or things to be in X. And she's starting to go to GPT to start look these up. It's like, hey, like give me the list of things or restaurants you can get there. And this is all local listings, right? And the more content being made on TikTok, the more content being made on the socials are starting to get pulled into the LLMs. And I'm finding all the things that I'm doing. Like we're she's taking me for my birthday to Vegas today. And I'm like, well, I was like, did you look anything up? She was like, dude, I have a 4 hour drive. I'm gonna TikTok it and chat GPT the entire way up, and I'll figure it out by the time I get there. And I go,
Yeah.
for local discovery who are not spending large budgets relative to anybody else,
Yeah.
this makes total sense.
Yeah.
But these teams and companies are not making a tremendous amount of content like most e-commerce brands or large SaaS companies, etc. So where are they going to pull this raking of the dollars from? Which leads me to like, okay, if I go to more like agentic shopping, or if I'm using the full support of this ecosystem, are they going to give me this? Here's the top 5 things you must do when you're on your way to Vegas if you want coffee shops. I go, holy crap, like that's helpful. That's something that I would actually really enjoy. And I think there's probably 13 or 14 different ways to do these things.
Yeah, it's they honestly, this is kind of reminding me. It's just like the wild, wild west of like when the performance marketing space basically started having conversion optimization is kind of what I think is we're
Mm,
up against this next year, maybe the next 2 years.
interesting.
It's like I can see it really flipping on its head. Now, if it's going to actually drive performance as a whole different topic, but I think as you and I both know how a lot of these businesses work and how anyone that has an investor in the business, even the fact that you can say that you're doing this if you have an investor is probably going to get money behind it, even if it's not technically working yet, because everyone wants to say in their, if they're, especially if they're publicly traded company, they want to be able to say that they're doing these things just to say that they're ahead of the trend, even if it's not working. So I still think there's a lot of things to, like a lot of money to be spent, a lot of big wins to be had, even if it's not from a CAC perspective. I think
Hmm.
that that's where I can see the wins coming from.
Okay, well, it's funny because you go from one hand, like Andromeda, which is
Yeah.
you need legitimate creative diversity with
Yeah.
real offer. So it's funny. I'm going to kind of take you back to our Lord and Savior Meta to talk about like what it is that we do and how we do it. It's on 2025 was like the season of massive diversification,
Yep.
real offers. You need to play in LTV or AOV
Yep.
or narrative control, and then you kind of go to like the LLMs that you are going to have the complete opposite of this, which is like more specific, probably very iterative around the words that you're using.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a very interesting balance depending on where the brands want to play at. And I don't know, just any other deeper thoughts before you move into like another prediction for 2026.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things like obviously creative diversification has become the biggest buzzword in the entire industry at this point.
Oh my
But the other
God.
thing that I feel just based on all the conversations I keep having with people at Meta, I think the other thing that we're going to have a lot of opportunity to improve is signals that we're sending. So like this year, I've heard so many people talking about improving your EMQ score within Meta, which is essentially just how your event's performing. But then I think the next step is probably going to be the integration of the attribution tools, which is kind of started at this point.
Okay.
But I think the Northbeams of the world, I could see their data coming into the platforms like immediately. And that's going to be our thing that we can start using to
Be
actually
more accurate.
optimize accounts. Yeah.
Well, because you start to think about people, there was a little bit of chatter on incrementality, but then the people that really need incrementality are some of the bigger brands where they're like
Yeah.
on 3 to 5 different channels. And
Yes.
so, like, if it's not the multi-channel one, to now you're looking at, well, I just want the attribution tool, whether it's triple, whether it's Northbeam, whether it's upstep, whatever it's going to be. I just need like, I need that accurate data to be
Yes.
better for me to make these decisions. And so, I think any tool before it went from you don't need any tool, trust Meta. Then it was like,
Yeah.
dude, you have to have one tool, maybe even multiple tools
Yeah.
to like triangulate. And now we're kind of getting back to choose the tool that you want, trust the platform in which you're spending on majority on, which is usually Meta in this mid
Yeah.
SMB space. And then at that point, that's your stack. Do you think we're back there?
I think we're back there at this point, and that's where I think it's moving pretty rapidly because I
Wow,
mean,
wow,
there's like the Apex integration that Northbeam has with Meta, which is sending data directly back into Meta, and they're using that for optimization. I think the next step after that is that you can actually see your Northbeam data in the Meta
crazy.
platform. And it's same thing with Triple Whale. I think Sonar is their offering for that. I think that we're going to be able to see it right there, and that Meta will just be using those metrics they'll just be passing this data back and forth because I think it's their solution to what happened in 2021 with iOS 14 rollout that happened. I think that this is the final kind of stage. They kind of fumbled the ball for a handful of years,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then they're kind of coming to the realization that this is the thing to do. Now, where like tools fit into this, because we're talking about specifically MTA tools, like that's where I think it's going. I don't know where sits into this, other than I find those very difficult to action on. I don't really know how Meta would technically use that data, so I
Well,
do think that they have
wasn't
like the
Meta
most valuable, most
wasn't Meta
valuable.
yapping? Meta was yapping at you. Like I remember they were just going back and forth, going like, We need to run incrementality tests. We need to run
Yes.
incrementality tests." Why
Yep.
were they so? They were like really interested in this.
They want to prove out that their platform is driving incremental sales, and you can do that through holdout studies and all these different, there's
Yeah.
different like DMA holdouts that you can do, or geo lift studies is another term for them. But if you don't have any of those tools, they're saying use our tools and we will show that they're incremental sales, which is funny to me because they're essentially not fully backing their metrics in the platform at this point, but they also want you to do the conversion lift incrementality studies within the platform. So
Hmm?
in general, I have seen conversion lift. If someone's running conversion lift and they have a true incrementality test running, they are generally aligned. So it's not like that far off that it's not like a bad idea, but it's also a
Yeah.
little, it's just interesting. I'm just like, oh, it's like sometimes the native data is 100% the
Be all
Bible, and then other times it's
exactly.
not.
Like, no,
So it's a little
trust us. They're also
complicated.
like, maybe you shouldn't trust this like number over here. Um,
Yeah.
that's great. Like, look, we're literally almost 28 minutes in on this, and there's like three core topics, and I knew that we were going to be able to go like the full 30 on this. Is there like anything? Except I don't want to overdo it on these specific things. This is what you're talking about today is going to be a reoccurring thing that we're going to be talking about. I don't want
Yes.
to say every single couple weeks, but it's going to be pretty consistent, just because it's going to be so new. Okay, right when you, Jake, and the team were like, "Hey, like I think we can do this. I think we're going to be pretty good at this." And I literally just made like one subtle tweet, and I was going back through it this morning, and there was like almost 100 people. They're like, I want to figure out how to do this because
How to do the
we
AI, how to do AI ads, you mean, or
well,
the
it's not even
search?
just
Yeah.
it's not it's literally like at what is yes, it's from the ad standpoint, but it's even just from the SEO standpoint. It's
Yes.
also from the like, what can I currently do right now with my current team, with this current e-commerce area? Because again, most of these internal people are still scared to utilize this because they think it's going to remove my job, or I'm an e-commerce store manager and am I in trouble, or I'm ahead of growth and I'm not paying attention to it. So a lot of people are just going, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to do it, but I want someone to do it or someone
Yeah.
to teach me. And so that was a huge, huge green flag because I'm going, this is a great thing. If we can learn it and do it, especially have the brand be a part of it, why wouldn't people do this? It's a new channel. It's like when App 11 popped off and everyone was like, oh my God, a new traffic source. This is not just a new traffic source. This is a new industry.
Yes. I think that's a really good way of framing it, because it is scary for a lot of people because it is new, and people also, the word AI has been used in the news
I
to
know.
break really negative news, but to be honest with you, that's a little bit of a red herring. Like I don't think that's exactly what's happening, because we all know how advanced AI is at this point, which is not fully replacing anything. It's just kind of an additive benefit. It helps you do some things quicker. It's definitely not replacing whole jobs at this current moment. So I think that overall, like, yes, it's a whole new platform. People are kind of freaked out, but they also are getting a lot of pressure internally to figure this out.
Yes.
And no one is an expert. And I wouldn't say that like I am the end all be all expert. I've been really in it and trying to figure out what's going
Yeah,
on, testing on a lot of different clients. And the thing is that if people are open to trial and error, we will figure it out. That's ultimately
exactly.
my belief system, not only just
With
with the organic side, but also with the ad side, any of the new features that are continuously rolling out. You just have to stay on the cutting edge and just watch the data, look at what's happening, read, understand how the systems are working, and then we can figure out how to move forward.
But what's also interesting is like it's you can do this without putting brand at risk. Like a lot of
Yes.
the times, there's like a new traffic source. For instance, we got this pushback on App and we didn't pause it because it was so good for us last year. But we were running it and we were getting like all these CS complaints like your son, like I
Oh
was
yeah.
my son was playing on my phone and I got served this marijuana ad drink. We're like, ma'am, you're like 30 plus. Like, yeah, you're
Yes.
gonna get that. We're not gonna know if your child is using your phone. Like, we're sorry for this. But it's still a brand reputation risk. But this one is the people that are using the AI are using or searching this. generally speaking, are Z and up. It's going to be millennials majority, like which is our area of usage because we grew up in the digitization age, and so we are usually the ones more inclined to do it. Plus, we have a little bit more disposable income, X, Y, Z. So I sit here going like 2026, and look, how long have you been in this industry? You're like 10 years in, 11 years in.
Hi, we're not going to go all the
I'm
way
not
because
gonna
it's
date you. I'm
hard
not
to
gonna
know.
date you. I'm not gonna date you. Okay, so like I'll say we've been in this for at least a decade. Okay.
Yes.
In the decade that we've been in this, it's been the consistent amount of players here. Some have fallen off, the Snapchats, the Bings, the Pinterests. Like
Pinterest,
some
I
of
would put them in there too. Yeah.
there's been some falling off, and there's hasn't been too many things for me to, and I've never been one person to be like, oh my God, SEO, I cannot wait to do some SEO. Like I'm just not, I don't think I've ever whispered those words to myself or to anybody else. But this is the first time when I look at you being a part of this and looking at Jake and looking at Ruthie and the rest of the crew going like, wait, this is it. This is way more important that we actually need to really spend the time and effort to figure this out, even more than what we've been doing on building and integrating deeper into Meta and having our own tools and access to these things. This is the thing that we think most people have to take serious.
Well, because to your point, like it's a whole new it's more than just a platform. It's a whole
It's
new,
industry.
it's a whole new industry. And because it's a whole new industry, basically there's a huge opportunity for us on all the brands that we're involved in to actually be ahead of the curve where you can start
Yeah,
outranking people immediately.
I know.
So if you
I
actually
know.
put the time, I know it's like the least sexy thing you can do is talking about product schemas and adding FAQs to your website. Like no one wants to talk about that. I literally wrote a bunch of FAQs for the agency this week. I thought I was going to like fall asleep. It's so boring. But it's because every people are naturally searching for things we
Yes.
need to show up. So it's super important and we can be first to market with all of the brands that we're working with, and that's going to give us a leg up because what if we get all of those sales over everyone else or all of our competitors who aren't doing it? We're going to win for our brands every single day because we just are trying to follow the kind of general industry best practices on how to get AI search results to work. So
We could keep going. I'm going to cut you off this because maybe the next one, because now it's pretty deep and the
yeah,
breeze has like been up and running, trying to like get some of this learnings and understandings on it. And
yeah,
maybe next time, and it'll probably be right in the middle of where everyone is finishing up for holiday season. People might need a little bit of escapism because they're either family or they're like deep in campaign work.
yeah.
We might do like a little over the shoulder and do more of an education style prezzo with Rebecca and myself to talk a little bit like what we're seeing, how we're doing, and how you guys can kind of do it yourself, huh?
I think
Maybe?
that's a great idea, Nick. And we can do, yeah, basically all the work we've been doing with Breeze and all the AI SEO work. And you guys can see the improvements and basically what we're actually doing to
It's
actually
crazy.
get these rankings up, which it's not complicated in how it works. It just takes technical ability and copywriting ability and just
Yeah.
determination to get it out the door. That's pretty much it.
It's funny because it's like you were talking about like FAQs, and I'll leave it
Mm,
with this one example. So I was like, how does this work? Because I'm still like, speak to me primitively here. And this guy was able to show me. He's like, there's a cookie company that doesn't exist. It's like a plain white website that you literally can't do anything on it. But the way that the schema was set up, that it was able to index on all the LLMs, and they were popping up for best chocolate chip cookie all over the place. But the website did not exist, but it was indexing, and all I did was like lines of code on a plain white screen. And I'll show you after this, so you can be like, wait, that's wild how that works. But it's driving real traffic and real growth, and I go, just wait until like the affiliates haven't even gotten to this. Like Legion hasn't even gotten to this stuff yet. And once those markets, as we've learned in Meta, as soon as the fringe markets get into the understanding of media buying,
for
the whole
sure.
entire market blows up.
Oh yeah. We know how
So
this goes.
it's
Well, yeah, great conversation. And yeah, I think next time we talk, let's go through the results and show some real data.
I love it. Rebecca, every single time I talk to you, I always learn a bunch of new things, and I appreciate you. So thank you for your time today.
Feel the same way, Nick. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.
Bye, guys.